Hello again, Lovell Hall's prior enlisted Marine military history buff, and overall somebody who just does a lot of research. And this is the last of my 5-part video series about basically where we need to go as far as being able to control the situation on gun violence. And I've partially hit on this before. This last one, I've hit on it before, but this one is going to be also one that I'm not going to be able to live long enough to see the final result unless I live to be over 100. So, respect is a huge issue for not only yourself, but for everybody around you. And I mean, you see it a lot of times. A lot of the people who run these cons, they don't respect you as an individual. They don't respect you as, sometimes not even as a human being. So, I suggest we teach that respect starting, if they aren't being taught at home, they be taught in school. And I suggest doing it through a martial art called Hapkido. And if the parents want a different martial art, they can do that themselves, but I personally would prefer it be Hapkido and as the standard. And then if the parents choose to opt to do something else, then they can do something else and get the money that would normally be put towards that particular student put into the martial arts class of their choice. So say they want to do Shorin-ryu karate or jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, something like that. The martial arts not only could double as an additional PE class, but it also teaches self-confidence, self-discipline, self-respect, and it also, in a lot of cases, respect of the person around you. More often than not, the people who actually know how to do a lot of damage as far as hand-to-hand techniques, as far as martial arts techniques, and know how to do a lot of damage with, or trained to do a lot of damage as far as, say, I myself, Shooter karate growing up, wrestling, football, rifle, sharpshooter, trained on the 240, C4, claymores. I could go on and on and on about the list of what my training entails. So that it's like if I really wanted to be, I could be a dangerous individual. But it's like I don't want to be dangerous to the wrong people. Show me somebody who it's like if I happen to be walking down the street with, and I happen to come across somebody who's getting mugged, I'm probably gonna wipe the floor with that mugger. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna take that person out. And I was like, okay. So that being said, it is harder to the benefits of Hapkido. Hapkido is a pacifist martial art. It uses joint and nerve manipulation to inflict pain but not injury. So there's no permanent damage involved, but it does gain compliance out of your opponent. The idea being is so that way you can actually stop your opponent without causing that harm. So that way you can talk some sense into them. That way you can actually, if you have to, detain them. So that way if you have to just in some way incapacitate them long enough to basically protect yourself from the issues. So as a result, it would be a great martial art because it teaches respect of your opponent even while you're defending yourself. So even while you're trying to protect yourself, you still have respect for your opponent enough to not necessarily kill them. It is an extreme martial art in that sense. It's not like Krav Maga where you actually counter lethal force with lethal force. And it's like if it's not like some of the other martial arts, like say Shooter karate. I happen to know some of the techniques are lethal if applied as it is taught, but you don't. They aren't your go-to techniques. Yeah, it's like there's one that it's like even though this was a variant of Shitaru that is taught here in Buena Vista that's not JKO certified. There's one where you end up breaking like 3 bones on the guy, but you don't. Other than a nice hospital trip, the guy's not going anywhere. So it is literally here in town. There's somebody teaching the martial art here in town, and he calls the technique break, break, break. So yeah, it stands for each time you break a bone on the other guy. So not exactly fun. It does a lot of damage, but you aren't going to kill him. Yeah, it will certainly incapacitate quite nicely. In some of the other techniques, some of the can have the ability to cause incapacitation similar to that, but it's not lethal. And some of the techniques taught by this particular martial arts studio, it can indeed be lethal. Not exactly, it's like, so. But I think Hapkido would be a great place to start, and again, give the parents an option to opt out of Hapkido and go find Krav Maga or Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, Shorin-ryu, Shita-ryu, and maybe the parents want to do both. Give the kids a lot of tools. It's like the Hapkido as the standard, and then at the same time go do Shita-ryu or Jiu Jitsu or something like that. But the benefits to it is, like I said, the self-confidence, the self-defense capability, because after all, somebody who can defend themselves is less likely to be mugged. I mean, somebody comes up and tries to mug them with a knife, well, who happens to know a little bit of martial arts there, the guy with the knife is likely to be disarmed and probably very bruised. And not just in his ego, but bruises all over. So it limits the number of crimes that can be committed, period. The self-respect, that comes later. That comes, and it's like the first generation of people that are going to actually know the self-respect in its fullest. They're going to have spent all 13 years of their school career in Hapkido. It's going to take 13 years for them to come into being. So even if we did it right now, starting 20 in 2023, the kindergartners who are starting school in 2023, it is going to be 2036 before they graduate, and they will be the first of the ones who will have taken all the time to learn these things. So it'll take 13 years for us to even see one graduating class of students to actually have this. And in order to make it a whole generation, it would have to be another 20 years after that. So we'd be talking about 2056 before it's a whole generation of kids that are like that. And in order for it to be the whole society, it'd have to be another 20 years after that. It'd be 2076. So 2076 minus 2022. Okay, so that would be 54 years before we actually see that. I'm 33 right now. I'll be 34 next month. So I'd be looking at 88 years old before we actually see the benefit of all this. Even if we implement it right now, it's like I'd be old. So, but we will see the benefit of all of that. I was like, it'd be amazing how much more it will help just 2 years into it. So 2023 we implement it, people start graduating in 2024. Some of them will continue the Hapkido because of the fact that they like it. Others will continue the martial arts in other disciplines because they like it as well. And it would, even just 1 year, you'll be amazed as to how much more respect that the graduating class of 2023 will have versus, say, the graduating class of 2022. But the longer it's implemented, the greater the respect is put into place. It's like by the time you actually reach the age of 2036, the class of 2036, those people will actually be completely respectful. I mean, even if you do get a little too big for your britches and they have to whoop your butt, not only will they be able to whoop your butt, but at the same time, they won't do any permanent damage while they're doing it. So and at the same and that's because they have a greater respect for you. Not only all of that, the respect to the point of where you're not going to harm another person unless you absolutely have to. But these people will also be, as I pointed out, not very likely to be a victim. They're not going to be a victim of a crime if they have no reason to, if they have the ability to defend themselves. And there's going to be less likely to have people attempt the crime in the first place, because I've actually talked to somebody who had actually been to prison for arms dealing before. And he actually said that if he was going to rob a store, or had two convenience stores, one of them he was going to rob one of them, and he knew that one of them had the clerk had the concealed carry, and the other one did not, he'd go for the one that didn't. Because somebody who's able to defend themselves is a lot less likely to cause a problem than somebody who is. The guy who has the gun is definitely the more dangerous one. So, as a result, it also goes back to that philosophy. If everybody is able to defend themselves, then nobody's going to want to commit the crime, because the other person's going to put up some serious resistance. Soft targets matter in this case. So, in that sense, that's solution number 5. It's going to take, like I said, I'm going to be 88 years old at least if we did it today. Like, we started with the class of 2023, and we did it all the way through. It'd be, in order for me to see, or in order for us to see the full class taught this way, it'd be 2036, from 2023 to 2036. And then in order to find a full generation, let's see, 2056, and then to find a full society of people trained this way, it'd be 2076. I'm willing to live with it getting better over time like that, because it'll have a snowball effect. The more and more and more this is put in place, the better and better and better it gets. And I mean, even just 1 year of this, you'd be probably amazed as to what the difference is. But if you guys agree with all of these assessments, please feel free to share all 5 videos with your friends, family. Show them to everyone, everywhere. Because I honestly believe all 5 of these solutions work. Heck, even send them to the governor if you want to. Send them to the president if you want to. Send them to the senator. Send them to your representative. Send them to your representative, to whomever in your government is representing you. Even your mayor, because honestly, this could be implemented on, or the last one, the Hakita, could be implemented on such a small level that even the local school board here in Buena Vista could take care of it. So, I've been Lovell. You guys have been awesome. Hope you guys continue to have a good day.